What's up? What's up? All my true funk soldiers. Thank you for tuning in to Funk from the Front Seat. Today, I got a special guest. This brother's been here a lot. But before we get started, y'all know how we do. We always kick it off with some type of music. And we're going to kick it off today with something a little special for you.
For faking the funk. Man, where you threw the flag?
Just dropped it yesterday.
15 yards for faking the funk.
All right. Everybody that be hit from Karma, yo. Just dropped yesterday. Flag on the funk. Out on all major platforms. So we're going to start where we started this at. North Carolina, where you at? I got Shyn Digg in the house today, yo, and he's bringing some of his new material, and we're going to cover some various topics about the funk and the state of the world. I don't have on my glasses today because I was a little under the weather, so I want to make sure I can see you know what I'm saying? So Boston, Massachusetts, up that way, clap your hands. New York, where you at? Good, you heard. Baltimore, where you at?
Causing the earth to shake, rattle, and roll to the sound of the happy bump. Penalty. You know we gotta step on the gas.
Georgia, what's up, Q? DC, where you at? I know y'all got the Funky Kid Ball coming up. We gonna be there, funking it up, hanging out with all the groovy people, checking out Enema Squad and Folks Money Funk and the Motherfucker. Y'all know the deal. Still in Philadelphia, Dr. Brookenstein, yo, check it out. The CD cracked, bro, so I need another one, all right? The original NHSA. Flag on the funk, yo. Man, shouts out to Bootsy and Patty Collins for allowing me to drop the song on XOTV yesterday. Our special guest today, my guy from New York, from around the world, by way of Jamaica. My guy Shyn Digg is in the house, making another appearance right here on Funk from the Front Seat, bringing some of his new funk. I love this brother, man. He's all the way live with me. My producer today, Mr. Mark Lee, will be beaming in later, yo. South Carolina, where you at? Virginia! Feel better, Pat. I know you under the weather, bro. I love you. New Orleans, Florida, where you at? Oh, yeah, Chicago. Minneapolis, I see you. Thank you, Vanessa. What's up, Digg? Detroit, the 313's in the house. Everybody clap your hands like this. Come on.
We ain't never gonna
stop. From the Front Seat, brought to you by 9 on the Grind TV. I'm in the process of moving, so you may see a couple of my shows in my car too, until I get this other apartment. With growth comes change. With change comes a new birth. With a new birth comes a new attitude. You feel me? Man, shouts out to Jeff Robertson. I love you, bro. Man, shouts out to Promo Staff. Our guest today. You know who it is? Shyn Digg. I know y'all been waiting for this all week. Oh, yeah. West Coast, California. You know how we do. My guy Mason Key out there. I love it. Smoke the dream. What up, what up, what up? Hawaii. Samoan. Doing the humpty hump. Humpty hump. Oh, yeah. Tokyo. I'm young. Hi there, yo. China. Japan. Colombia. Puerto Rico. Man, shouts out to everybody who got hit with that really bad flood and everything, man. Lots going on in the world. We need prayer, yo. Russia, Ukraine, y'all gotta stop that nonsense. United States, we gotta get our shit together. Africa and the whole continent. Alaska. Somebody hit me the other day. DJ Copolino in Italy, I love you. Elizabeth, I love you. In Ireland. Tanning Soul Sister in Germany, thank you for spinning my shit. DJ Monica in Sweden, thank you. Whoa. Now if you hear me cough, it's okay. I'm just recovering from bronchitis. I keep it real on this show. I'm feeling a lot better. All your prayers, all your positive energy has helped me a lot. What you listen to right now, besides being on the chart, is going to be the theme song. Goes forward as we expand our horizon and our mind. I want y'all to sit back and check this out, and we'll bring you back home to the one in time. My special guest today, my guy, my brother from another mother. I got my guy right here, Shyn Digg, is in the house. Yo. Join us, sir. What up?
How you doing?
I'm good, man. I'm trying not to cough on air, but I'm good.
Well, let me tell you.
How's the family, bro?
It's a great day, any day, to be a musician. So.
Could you turn up a little bit for me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, turn up a little bit. There you go.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, that's good.
Okay, maybe since I'll turn this off. Try to have a little air conditioning going on in here.
Yeah, that's okay, man. You looking good, bro. You looking good, man.
Sure. Thank you.
Yo, man, I listened to those tracks that you said. As always, fire. As always, your brand, you're all over it. As we say in the funk, you peed on it. You know what I'm saying? You're all over it, bro. I'm so honored and so proud to have you hanging out with us today, man. And excuse me 1 second. I got some hot tea here. You guys will be sip. I got my little tea bag guy, which holds the tea. Yeah, it holds the tea inside. That I got my lemon. So
I have some Welch's juice here.
Some rum juice. Hey, rum is good.
It's the wine version, though.
I love it, man. So listen, man, a lot's been going on in the world that we're going to chop it up and get into. But before I do, man, you're always doing something in the music game. And I really, really do appreciate the fact that we reconnected like we did. And since we reconnected, we've been steady on that flow. So I just want to say thank you for that, man, because you were one of the unsung heroes of, and y'all don't know this, but I'm gonna let you let Shyn Digg tell you who he is. You were one of the unsung heroes of that movement when it was happening and popping in New York City. So for our audiences just tuning in that never met you, please give them a little background information about yourself, sir.
Well, as I like to say, first of all, thank you for even looking my way. Thank you for just listening. It means the world. Thank you so much for giving that attentive ear, man. It really makes me feel good, and it really encourages me to push on. And, and I feel like everyone that has contributed to anything I've done musically, I have a responsibility and a love to finish anything that I do. If I ask them to be on a project and to be a voice in any way, vocally or instrumentally, I need to finish it so I can put it out, because they took their time to help me. So I can't discard anything that I've been on. So I appreciate you and everybody that has just glanced my way and kept looking and gave my what I do some credence. So thank you for that. Okay, with that said, born in England, grew up in Jamaica, had a lot of reggae and rock steady and ska around me. Discovered funk discovered Jackson 5. That solidified the love for music. It's like I couldn't look away. And then I discovered funk around 74 and never left. Never left. Moved to New York in 84. I tried to create a band 4 times or something like that, unsuccessfully. And then finally was able to, I think the elements just came into place. I met the right people around 88, 89. And I was able to put a group together called The Trip, and we became a part of that scene. And that scene seemed to, the timing was right, because it just seemed to blossom. The cabaret laws had lifted, so you could have more than 3 or 4 people on stage. So it gave me an opportunity to build the kind of band that I wanted to. Yeah. And there were so many places to play. I encourage original music. Our goal was to get a record deal and we would be set. That's how we saw it, So we went to every record company we could. We did the mailings. We did the postering in the middle of the night. We loaded in, we loaded out, we played college gigs, we toured Europe. I mean, we did the mailing list, we did mailings, we all would sit around with all these postcards. Somebody would write them up, somebody would put them in the envelope, and I would take them to the mail room where I worked. I don't want to say the place, and and get them mailed out. So we did everything on foot that we could, everything. And the trip, which was a funk band, shared the stage with Milo Z, The Authority, Brand New Heavies, Two Skinny Jays, Joan Osborne, Blues Traveler, The Spin Doctors. A lot. It were just so many people, and even if you weren't playing, you could just go out on a whim and see someone else. And if you remember, the Back of the Village Voice would just have numerous postings of who was playing, you know. And there were places like the Wetlands, New Music Cafe, Continental Divide, Delta 88, Spodiotes, China Club. I mean, it just went on. We tried to cover
Elbow Room, Red Lion, Lion's Den, Easy Bar,
Tramps. One of my best
Tramps.
memories
Wow.
for the Ohio Players at the Lone Star Cafe. Oh my God, I met Sugarfoot, my guitar hero and just funk hero. But anyway, the band went through two major changes, but overall we lasted for about 12 years. We were able to put out one album called the Plaid Album, and we toured on that, and it had a pretty good local following. And that was when we cut it. I think it was just at the beginning of the internet, which was extremely young, but we didn't know what the internet was. We didn't understand it.
Yeah.
Interested in using it to our advantage. Anyway, 2000, the trip comes to an end. Everybody's gone on to do their thing, and it kind of segued into Dig Deep. But whereas the trip was built on a performing band and not so much on a recording band, I flipped it this time and became more of a recording project than a performing. I wanted to make sure that there was something to show for it, because when the trip ended and I looked around, I felt like, wow, I don't have much to show for it. I had tons of cassette tapes with demos that the band did, things that weren't completed totally. Nothing that we could say, this is what we did. We had lots of pictures. We had lots of postcards. We had, whatever, we had everything else but a product that said, this is what we did. So with Dig Deep, I took a different attitude, and it became more of a recording project. And I just had a revolving door of people to come in. And, my original plan was to have a band again, cut tracks, and then play out. But the scene seemed to be fading extremely slowly. And it just got harder to, the club owners weren't being any kinder in their offering. They'd want you to play for maybe all night and still pay you $200-$300.
Exploitation was definitely in play, bro. I know.
Yeah, and I just didn't, at that time, I just didn't feel like repeating that process. So and plus it seemed harder to get people together, because I think as MySpace became more prominent, a lot of, and the internet provided an opportunity for independence. People became more independent and didn't seem that inclined to be part of a project that wasn't theirs, So there was some chasing to do. So I think just kind of naturally, I think it just took a natural road, and I just really just concentrated on recording. And then I set a goal for myself. I said, before I leave this life, I would like to have at least 10 albums of music that I've had in my head for a long time. And I just needed to empty that and get rid of it, because it stays there.
Yeah, it does. Takes
For
up
me, I
space.
just kind of mind that just, it doesn't omit music. Once it's in there, it stays in there. And I had music that I'd been saving for years that I didn't get to. And this was an opportunity to do it. So I've been just spilling that over time. And I'd like to get 10
You
albums
know, and
done.
I didn't mean to cut you off, but you
No,
mentioned something very important. And we're hanging out with Shindig today, and we're going to get into the whole mental aspect of it. On the other side of the hour, we're going to definitely drop all your tunes because we got plenty of time today. We ain't going nowhere. So, you guys, we appreciate you. Thank you for hanging with us. Not on the Grind TV, Funk from the Front Seat. This brother and I go way back, but we've always had the same energy. You said something, and I'm going to let you finish that, was really, really important. Emptying the space the head of a musician. When you have that data in your head as an artist,
mhm.
whether you're painting, drawing, creative, poetry, music, playing, whatever, it doesn't empty out like most data. Like if you're an accountant and you do somebody's taxes and they're
Yeah,
getting back 2-3 grand, once you're done with that data, it empties out because you're getting ready for the next one. It
exactly.
doesn't store itself.
That's
If you're
true.
a surgeon and you operate on my shoulder, which I've had plenty of them, then once he's done, he goes to the next operating room. He empties out the data of Zach Robertson, then he goes to John Smith.
Yeah.
Artists, we never empty out the data. Like
No.
I can literally tell you, like you, every single project is in my head, whether
Mhm.
I remember it or not, that I
Yeah.
always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And that's something we're going to get into the mental health side because I don't think, and I'm glad you came on this show and you brought these subjects to me in the middle of the week when we prepped the show. We're going to dig deep again. That's the phrase. I always say that when you're here, bro. We're going to dig deep into that because I got to get my musicians to understand we are all stressing about that. So yeah, continue, please, sir.
Yeah. So, getting the music out, I promised or I set a goal that I wanted 10 albums. I'm on my 8th right now. And I'm actually recording 3 albums simultaneously just to quicken the pace. And I think after I complete those 10 albums, which I hope is within the next year, then I feel like I'll be free to just like create anything, and go anywhere. But the having 10 albums in my life with music that I've composed or rearranged is a goal for me. And to me, that is satisfying because what I realized many years ago was that the reward is completing the material. It's not necessarily a Grammy. It's not necessarily a deal. It's being able to say, this is done and I'm not going back to it. And in a sense, that is calming for me. So if somebody comes up to me and says, yeah, this sounds good, I would have done such, you should have done such and such. My response, hey, take the track and do it. Because I'm done. I'm moving on to something else. And I never want to listen to any of my material and wince. And that's the gauge for me to know that something is done. When you listen to something and let's say you're playing something for somebody and you're like, oh, I was supposed to put a sax there. I probably have to go. No, I don't want that. I want to listen to it and just like it just goes by. I can phase off into something and nothing catches my attention. That to me means it's done, and it may not be pristine. It may not be a shoe shine mix, but it's done and it has the feel that I want. And, that's independence to me. And
Yeah,
that's
I heard a
complete.
writer once say he hates writing but loves having written. And I
Oh,
forgot who
that's
said that.
like
Yeah,
that.
yeah, I think it was one of the famous writers. It might have been Edgar Allan Poe because I used to read a lot of Poe books back in the day.
Yeah.
Because I love haunted stuff. And I think I can't quote for sure he said it, but I know the quote was, "I hate writing but love having written." When you're writing songs and you're putting down your thing, and like you just mentioned, do you ever feel like once it's done, it's done, but you want to redo it, because I do that all the time. I just second guess everything. I'm never quite happy, but I love it when it comes out and I see people digging it. But
Yeah.
like you, I'm like, I should have did this or that. How do you
Right.
feel about that?
Well, the one thing I've learned for as long as I've been doing live music or been in a band is to get out of my own way. You know, when I had to trip, we would get a lot of work done, but we didn't get anything finished. Somebody was unhappy with whatever it was, and also I think we were leaning on the crutch that, well, when we get a record deal, we can correct all of this.
Right.
So we didn't push ourselves. When I decided that I've had enough of the music business, I wasn't looking for a record deal, and I want to just deal with the things that I can control. Then, at that point, when I did something, I made sure that it was done, and I would never try to rush it, because sometimes when you take a lot of time with your material, and outside of that, time is passing by. Music is passing by.
Yeah.
Is it more progressive or whatever?
Yeah.
Not my concern.
Yeah.
My concern is if I started it, I'm going to finish it. I don't have an ideal situation. I don't have the studio provided for me. I don't have money coming at me. I now have a family. So I have to work around that, I have to navigate between that. But for me, I have to get it done no matter what.
And you do a good job with that, brother, because I've watched over the years since we reconnected. I went back, like I said, I listened to your stuff. I think I have one of your original CDs from back in the day somewhere here. And since we reconnected, man, on a spiritual level again, and you were always that. I think it's important somehow we're destined to complete some of these tasks together and work and help each other, which is another topic that I want to get into, because besides the mental health issue with musicians and the musical depression, which I want you to touch on a little bit later, but just tell me, in your opinion, and we're going to just keep this one short, 50 years of hip hop. Okay. What's your opinion about how, not that it's not a big deal, because it is, but just because it's a big deal, it's almost like they bypassed 75 years of funk and soul and jumped straight from, let's go to 50 years of hip hop. What about the shit that the hip hop was built on? How about we do 50 years of that? James Brown, Sly, P-Funk, you know what I'm saying? Lakes, all the shit that was sampled, Isley Brothers, you name it. These geniuses in hip hop have sampled everything, and I give them credit for that. The early on ones. I'm not talking about this new crap because I'm not into that. But so how about we say, okay, 50 years of shit that hip hop was built on, and build a tour around that, because these guys are doing major business, and I'm not mad at it. Commercials, touring and everything else, LL Cool J and this and that, and I'm happy for them. Good for them. God bless them. Right? They're holding the fort. They did it, but I always feel like the funk and soul always gets slighted. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Yeah. You're right. I think funk happened at a time when the powers that be really weren't interested in it. It survived because it couldn't be denied. But I think the lyrical content couldn't be controlled, or nobody had the idea to control it and then make it and distort it and to make it misogynistic or just outright degrading. I think what happened with hip hop started out as a fun music. It started to get patches of social content, but I don't think anybody took it seriously. At some point, somebody decided that this is money making.
Yeah.
And once the powers that be got involved, they manipulated it.
Yeah, they did.
And, people like Rakim and Public Enemy, if that had continued, it would have been a great news report on what was happening positively in the community and how we can uplift it.
Yeah.
It would have been the newsroom.
Yeah, that's right.
It would have
That's right.
the CNN for hip hop music. But somebody had the idea that we can, if we talk about bitches or I don't know, shooting each other or whatever, it makes money. And I think it really got out of control. Here's a
It
point.
bleeds, it reads, bro. It's crazy, right?
I was just listening to Dr. West, who I have great admiration for. I see him as one of the guardians of the culture, the bouncers, the security, where he doesn't allow people to step on the culture. He said on the Breakfast Club, which is hosted by DJ Envy and Charlemagne, that he brought music to the record company that was socially conscious, uplifting, and truth-telling. They said they didn't want to hear all that stuff. What they wanted was G-string music. Now they're telling a man of this caliber, his experience, with all that he has contributed to Harvard, to the what Christian group, Christian college does he teach at? I can't remember, but he has done so much. This man has all over the place for everybody.
Yeah,
for everybody. And they look at somebody of his stature, in his maturity, and his dignity, and tell him, "No, we want G-string music." The nerve. And that's what I mean, is that they are not interested in keeping hip hop clean and positive, or on the parallel of a Gambling Huff. Remember, you and I grew up with Gambling Huff. There was a message in the music. When you listen to Gambling Huff and all those songs, you're just like, you can play it for your kids. You can pass it on. You don't have to edit anything.
There's a crate full of albums that we could literally go through. Stevie Wonder, Earth, Wind and Fire, Parliament, Bootsy, Bernie Worrell, Chicago, all these people that came out with all of this great positive music, even some of the heavy duty rock guys, like if you listen to Stevie Winwood, and when he kind of crossed over and started doing Bring Me a Higher Love, he sing about God. One of my favorite bands of all time was the band that, Mr. They made Take These Broken Wings, things like that, right? They didn't get much airplay. Now, these are white guys. You know what I'm saying? They came in with the message, and they was like, listen, we'll play it, but we're going to play it at like 10:30 at night when ain't nobody paying attention. Right. You know what I'm saying? And this is why we now have taken control. I feel like now we're in control because, number one, they can't control our narrative. Number two, we can write what we want, own what we want, and work with who we want. Because there was times when other bands, and I ain't going to say the names, but I know this personally happened because I was told the stories, they weren't allowed to go work with somebody else for fear that you were taking away that sound and bringing it somewhere else. But truth be told, in hindsight, had they looked back, it would have been better for us. But, 2020 hindsight. We're hanging out today with Shyn Digg, my main guy, my brother from another mother. We are, and I'm putting it right out there right now, manifested it, going to be doing a project together coming up soon, as soon as we can work out the logistics. So we was just vibing on 50 years of hip-hop. I'm glad. Kudos. I tip my hat to all the brothers that are around. But you brothers and sisters that's out there with the money, trickle some back down, because you do stand on our shoulders. We were the ones keeping it alive while hip-hop was a little toddler and rap finding its way. It was bands like yours that was keeping it alive.
One thing I want to point out, when I mentioned, just so everyone understands, when I say G-string music, the implication was that this was about thong music. You know what I mean? Cheap. Let me be careful how I say this. What I mean is that just music without substance. Nothing that really talks about We don't want anything that discusses the African American community in a positive stance. Now, let's say, for instance, my feeling is that if somebody were to take funk and treat it the same way with the same kind of content, it probably would rise.
Yeah.
It would rise in a way that I don't think you and I would want to be associated with it, and it would be controlled by people who.
Good point.
And are about just getting the money, and not what it does in the wake, not the damage that it can leave. Now, the thing is that I think, as funksters, we know what causes damage, and hopefully we all refuse to get involved with that. And I think that's the stance that we have to take as artists, no matter what genre, that I am not contributing to this if it is going to ruin the minds of my kids.
Same.
It really is about the kids. I mean, what else is there?
Yeah.
You know,
and you're right, because when artists like Prince, when he first came out, of course he was in the nasty zone. But then when he realized, he said once in an interview, like, listen, people are starting to look at me because I'm bigger now. He says, I can't be doing the same shit that I was doing and singing about the same shit, bumping and grinding and hoes and pussy and all this other stuff. He said, he came out and said it, and that was right about the time me, we were all on that next growth level. Okay, let's stop that thing and let's get into this spiritual funk thing, which our music was always spiritual. But let's face it, back in the Wetlands days, it was like anything goes. You know what I'm saying? So it really was, excuse me.
Yeah.
But there was a lesson to be learned from that, because as we watched others do it and others blossom, we were like, okay, it's just a natural progression for anybody that's serious about their craft. So I'm grateful for those days, because if it wasn't for those days, I wouldn't be here now talking to you, and we wouldn't still be here. And I'm looking at all the subjects that we're going to get into, and this is just part one of many. But I feel that you and I are destined to do something in music together when it concerns African American history, like you just said, and mix a little of hip hop, mix a little of your swag, my swag, and everything else. We're hanging out today with Shyn Digg, my guy, for back in the day. We get ready to get on to some of his music on the other side. It's going to be a great show today. Sit back, relax, always support us if you can. Drop me a little something here and there, my Venmo, whatever. I don't even care. It's not about the money for me. It's about keeping the funk alive and helping brothers like this, support what I do. Anytime somebody comes on this show, they automatically support what I do, and that's a huge thing, man. So mental health and, 50 years of hip-hop. Bands disappearing, you said that before. Why do you think that a lot of people gave up?
Let me think.
I know it's a good question, right? I always think that to myself.
Question.
I'm there every day. Every day I'm ready to give up.
I think it was just sign of the times, fashion, stylistic. There was a time when, even before Sly and the Family Stone, there weren't groups. So it's what they were concentrated on. If it was vocal groups or girl groups, wearing chiffon dresses or whatever.
Right.
The entrance of hip hop really took away the group thing. It took away choreography, and it became shouting or just lack of melody. The spoken word became a loud, bellowing composition of words. And it's, put it this way, it's like when the drum machine came in, drummers were fretting. When the DX7 came in, bass players were fretting, So it's what is threatening. Sometimes you just have to do it long enough to see if it'll catch. So if you and I love bands, we just keep doing it, and maybe it will, maybe it won't. I have no idea. But I guess it's just, it's the tipping point thing that Malcolm Gladwell said. You just do something long enough till it causes change. And there's no way to measure what that is or how long that is. So we just got to keep doing it. And I think all we have in our corner is the love of what we do. You know, it's illogical. It's just going to do what it does. Or as Freddie Stone sang in what in a Slant of Family Stone reunion in the studio, he said, "It gonna do what it do every time." That's the way he wrote it, you know. So it's just going to do what it do or what it does. You still there? Hey, Zach?
Okay, we're back. I'm back live, trying to get Shindig back on live. Yeah, man. Sir, no, see, we start talking. I swear, bro, I swear to God, my computer is connected to my TV. I watch movies, sports, and shit 24/7 if it's on. Never happens. When I'm doing this show and we start talking about certain shit with certain guests, it happens with you. I swear to God, they cut me out. I swear. I don't know what it is. But listen, fuck y'all, because you got to stop fucking with me. Because listen, this shit is righteous. It's about peace, love, and harmony, and we're spitting the truth. So if y'all don't like it out there, it's too damn bad. Because I stand on the street corner with this brother, and we can still get our message out. So you can cut us out. You can mess it up. It ain't going to matter, bros. Whoever's doing this shit, I don't care, because I can just do it another way. You know? The only way you're going to stop me is kill me. So you were saying before you got cut off. I'm sorry.
That's all right. What was the last thing you heard me say?
We were talking about, you know, the amount of energy it takes to keep bands together and why they quit.
Oh, and I was saying that it's built on what you just said, that no matter what, we can stand on a street corner and we just got to keep it going. Hip hop came along and it became this thing of words, you know. It got rid of melody. And what was I saying? What did I say before we cut off?
You talk about somebody in chiffon dresses.
Oh yeah, like you know, because you had groups. It's a stylistic thing or a fashionable thing. You know, whatever happens, those groups came along, and then, I mean, those vocal groups came along, and then bands came along, and they became less important, or they kind of worked simultaneously, and that carried through. And then hip hop came along and caused a major change. And I think over time, just like how the drum machine made drummers nervous, or the DX7 keyboard made bass players nervous, you know, that we weren't going to work anymore. But I think if you stick with something long enough, if love is your engine, it's an illogical thing. You just do it, you know, and based upon, I was making a reference to Malcolm Gladwell's tipping point, that if you just do something long enough, it'll take, you know, and there's no way to measure how long that will be. So just like you just said, that, you know, when you're talking to the general audience out there, or somebody, that there's no way they're going to stop us. You know, we can meet on a street corner and we're still going to get things done. That's what it is. We stick with what we know. And if you can't fight the masses, the one thing you have control over is your actions. And you can decide if you're going to join the masses or go a different way. And that's really all we can do, you know? So for bands to take hold again, is people like you and me just sticking with it. You know, I'm not sure at this point what else we can do, because there aren't any visionaries in the music business. It would be nice if we could go to somebody, let's say up in, I don't know, Aristo or whoever is there, and say, listen, we think bands are the future. Blah, blah, blah. This is our plan and everything. They probably just say, nice to have you. And that would be the end of it. So it's all about practice. So we would just have to get out there and hustle and just do what we love.
That's right. George the Funk Vinci, what's up, bro? How you doing, man? This brother got a show on 9 on the Grind TV every Thursday. So, man, shout out to you, man. We're going to get them boots down to you soon. I'll see you at the ball. We're hanging out with Shindig today. Sir Nose is definitely trying to do some stuff with us, but we ain't really having it. So We're going to get to some of this music on the other side in a minute, but right now I'm going to take a quick break because I just got to run a few spots and let people know, like, hey, I appreciate these people and, all the good things and vibes that they send us, and Keith Jackson, of course, and Christy Q. Rollins and Jeff Roberson and, all the people that support us. So we're going to run this for a second. Y'all hang tight, funk on the front seat. Y'all sit back, relax, and check this out.
Hey, this is Keith Jackson with P-Funk Radio, inviting you to check out my brother Zach Robinson with Funk from the Front Seat. Saturdays, 12 noon on the East Coast and 9 a.m. on the West Coast. It all happens on 9 on the Grind TV and also on YouTube. Great guest, great conversation each and every Saturday. That's Funk from the Front Seat with Zach Robinson on 9 on the Grind TV and YouTube. Check him out.
Blowing it up, man. And if it wasn't for stations like his and Philly Phil get on the funk bus and Gabe Gonzalez on Wednesday nights and Larry Funkster Jones on Saturday nights, those are the places where we all have to go and get our music played. So there are places and we still holding it down, and we're going to keep this funk alive. So y'all check this out.
Hey, this is Jen Van Putten, writer of Code and Prose. You are watching Funk from the Front Seat with Zach Roberson. Tune in every Saturday at noon for excellent and important conversation.
My computer is like lagging today, and I don't know why. There's nothing wrong with it because I just cleaned it out. So we'll see as we go. But you can't stop the
Hey,
funk.
it's Chrissy Q. Rollins here with Holistic Restoration, inviting you to check out Zach Robinson with Funk in the Front Seat. He drops new episodes every Saturday at noon on the East Coast time, and replays are posted for whenever you miss a live stream. You can find him on 9 on the Grind TV and also on YouTube, and get ready for the funk because he brings it every week along with hot topics, amazing guests, and great conversations. Again, that's Zach Robinson with Funk from the Front Seat on 9 on the Grind TV and YouTube. Go check him out.
Hey fam, what's goody good? What's really good? Hey fam, what's goody good? What's really good? My name is Jeff.
It's acting crazy today. So
hey
y'all
fam, what's goody
good?
What's really good? My name is Jeff
I really don't.
from the gospel group
Hopefully
called Jeff
it'll
Roberson
fix itself.
And I'm coming to you
I've
from
rebooted
the town
it and everything else, but
twice. So nice.
we're brought to you by
York,
StreamYard, so maybe StreamYard is having some
I'm
issues
bringing you
as
some
well.
news about my brother from another mother, brother Zach, who's bringing you his hot new show called Funk from the Front Seat. Listen, he's bringing you funk from the vault, from the past, from the present, and into the future. He's got that music that makes the hair on the back of your neck rise up. He's bringing you funk all the way down to your toes. This is that funk that makes you really want to groove. Stay tuned. Don't touch that dial as he brings you funk from the front seat. Listen, let's go.
Times Square, man, doing your thing, and we appreciate you, man. We're back today with Shyn Digg. We're having computer problems, obviously, but y'all sit tight because we never know what's going on with StreamYard. I think as they build their brand and they're moving up and getting ready to become commercialized on Wall Street, from what I heard. They made so many millions now, so they get ready to go big time. I think they're rebooting their whole system because the past month this has been happening. So, tell us a little bit about the importance of 60s and 70s R&B, soul, and funk. And then we're going to get into a couple of your songs.
I think what 60s and 70s funk means to me, it really was an emancipatory, I think that's a word, period, a breakthrough for that style of music. Music had been so controlled. It seemed that even the society at that time, the stiffness of the 50s, the 40s, the 30s, the 20s, opened up in the 60s. And in the 60s, it showed with the style of the kids, long hair, beards, sandals, afros, civil rights, people really speaking out in the streets. And it said, this is who we are. And it cut the 20th century in half. I mean, even the president was new. The youngest president with a totally different approach to politics and a total different treatment of the White House. And it's like everything, I think everything that had been bottled up before, the restraints came out, and there was a lot of exploration. And I think it just did what it did. And it came out the way it did. And people weren't singing in a ink spots type of manner, which I love anyway. I just love that type of vocalizing. You know, the many a tear has to fall. You know, no riffing or anything. And then coming out with, you been cat. You know, it's bringing church from inside to the outside.
Yeah.
And it was just a great time of expression. It was meant to happen. It's like a spaceship came down and dropped a bunch of people off. Jimi Hendrix, James Brown, Miles Davis, the Beatles, who were just going places. Some chain had been broken, not just in the African American community, but all over. And I think African Americans showed the rest of the country what it is to break chains and to be free. Yeah. And I think it inspired the women's movement. It inspired everything. Even if people didn't want to admit it, that you see a force of people speaking out the way they're doing, who are willing to die for what they want. Everybody took on that premise, but
it was
a lot of
glorious
people
time.
Had the luxury of not being shot down.
Yeah, I loved it, man. You know, you mentioned women, and God bless, you know, all the beautiful women in Queens out there, because you guys are the strongest people on the planet. I love my boo. Love you, see. It's like, and my daughter's Kayla Meyer, of course, you know, when Helen Reddy came up with I Am Woman, Hear Me Roar, you know, when she put that shit out there, I was like, oh shit, you know, and I'm a little kid. I'm running around singing, you know, this song about a woman who's fighting for her rights just to not wear a bra to work and shit like that. You know what I mean? So, it was, you know, when I saw the first time I saw my father get emotional. Now he's a minister, church, right? So music to him was just secondary. You know, it was part of our lives. You know, we grew up with it. And, you know, he would get spiritually emotional with church songs, but not to the point to where I felt it. Because to me, I was like, okay, it's another Sunday. They singing this song or whatever. But when Sam Cooke came out with that song, the one you just did, dude, I saw my dad like say, go get that 45. Because he heard on the radio, sent me to Farmers Market. And I brought, you know, of course he gave me money to get a couple of others. I think I bought like Slide, Funkadelic, and something else. But I brought that song back and we put that song on and he sat down. And it was the first time him and I connected on a musical level. Yeah. Because at the time, I was 10. Martin Luther King had just gotten shot. Stuff like that had just happened. And he was from Georgia. He knew some of them people. He marched in some of that stuff. And when he heard that song, it changed him because he realized that that generation and the up and coming generation was conscious. Yeah. You know, listening to Elvis Presley, watching the Beatles on Ed Sullivan and all of that, great. You know, watching, you know, the Supremes come out and, you know, be from the neck down to the toe, couldn't show shit, you know. Yeah. I was thinking, damn, why don't they just put him in a burlap bag? You know, Temptations, this and that. All the Motown, Gordy got his foot in the door. Ed Sullivan, this and that. But when he realized that song I connected to and he connected to, we bonded on something. And then from then on, he understood, like, yo, my son's going to be a musician. Because I used to like walk around singing that shit at the top of my lungs. I didn't know the words. I just knew the hook, you know? And I didn't even know what the change was, bro, because at 10, you don't know this stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
You just see your parents talking, or you see slain, civil rights, assassination. I didn't even know what those words were.
Yeah.
But it affected my household, as I'm sure it did many, many others. We're hanging out with Shyn Digg today, dropping some serious truths to y'all. And we ain't done, trust me. I wanted to run a few. Mark, you back there, bro? I see you nodding your head. Do you want me to run that lady, or you gonna run it for me? Can I take a break here? I've been producing the show. I'm cutting your pay for this, You came in late, you clocked in late and shit. I gotta do this, I gotta do that. You're killing me. I know, I saw your note, you're busy, hey Ty. I don't care. I don't care. I showed up to work today sick. You came in late. You're crushing me. I love Mark. He's the only guy, like maybe if you were here, you would do it, I could tease with, and he knows I'm joking about everything. Mark is the backbone of this production back here, You know what I'm saying? He really is. I love this guy to death, man. He's my brother, man. I'm going to miss him because I'm moving from one complex and somewhere else. We live in the same spot, but I got to move, so it's time for me to get up. Mark, you going to run that for me? Okay, thank you. That lady. Before you run it, set this up for us.
What, that lady?
Yes.
Oh, that lady, which that's the proper title for there are two